All right, so all of you were at the Grim Cup this weekend, right?
Yes.
How many, show of hands, for how many of you guys was this your first LAN tournament? All of you. Assad, same deal? What did you do prior?
I was in a tournament my junior year.
What was the tournament you were in?
A Smash tournament, just specifically for Smash. It was here at Bosco.
How would you compare the experience at the Smash tournament compared to being at this one now?
Honestly, I feel like because I've already done it, but like this one is was still more nerve-wracking because I went in there thinking that I got better than I was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I got absolutely dominated. Like,
who were some of the strongest competitors you had to go against?
Something Valley. I forgot their name, but they won the whole tournament. I'm guessing we just got unlucky. Like they were our first opponent.
Was there anything in particular that they were doing that you might have taken away from? Like, oh, that's something I need to implement in my training or practice or something like that?
Literally everything they were doing was on point. They didn't do anything too less or too little. And like the way they were dodging and everything was really mesmerizing.
Mesmerizing. That's a good term to use.
Yes,
is mesmerizing.
It was actually crazy. Like when we started playing, I couldn't even move, dog.
Really?
Like, because I would think it's spamming, but he did it in such a way that it's not considered spamming. Like he timed it so perfectly.
So it almost set a precedent for how difficult the competition can actually be, depending on how far you actually want to go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting that it was a more nerve-wracking experience for you because would you say any of that had to do with the atmosphere of that event, like the amount of schools that were there?
No. The moment I walked in, I started talking to all of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And the crazy part is that after we lost the person in the winners bracket, I played one of their teammates and I won.
Oh, nice.
We just did it for fun, so it didn't count.
That must have felt pretty good, though, to actually compete and know, like, all right, I can hold my own.
It did feel good, but, like, it didn't count. That's what bothered me. I was like, we did it for fun and I won, so, but no one is, like, videoing it.
All right, so Assad had a pretty unique experience since first off, you've done LAN before, and yours was specific to Smash, but the three of you guys each did Valorant. So, and this was your first time playing. So I'd like to hear, what was that experience like from any one of you?
I guess I'll go first. It was an experience like no other. It was very mesmerizing. The teams we the teams we went against they weren't going easy. They were mostly college teams.
All of them were there to win.
They're all there to win. It was very competitive. We lost all of them, but I had fun, and I look forward to my next tournament.
Now, that puts you in an interesting position because if you lose all of your games, I know a lot of guys would go in and they'd feel absolutely demoralized by that, or like, oh my God, it sucks to lose over and over again.
Yeah.
Now, what did you have to overcome? Because how many games did you play total? Do you remember? How many teams you went against?
Our team played 4 games.
4 games.
Yeah.
So you're probably thinking by game 3, like, do we even have a chance on game 4, right? What are you going through as a player to stay focused and go into that next game thinking, all right, well, we can try to make something of this?
Personally, I was more like these teams, they're very good. They're college teams. But you can be better. You can be better. You can outgun them sometimes. You can outplay them. So do it. That was basically it.
Do you have a different perspective today going into practice versus the last time you were in here before the tournament?
Yeah, I want to focus I want to practice more. I want to be able to actually be able to work on my aim mechanics and all of that.
That's really great. That's awesome. Connor, what was it like for you in the Grim Cup?
Honestly, like walking in, I was really scared, cause like I don't know, but yeah.
Were you scared mainly because of the amount of people that were there, the teams that you were going against? Like, what can you identify what the first thing was? It's like, oh, dude, this is uncomfortable right now.
Definitely the amount of people, and I feel like so we had subs, and then they're behind me, and I feel like that really like made me like freak out.
What do you mean they were behind you?
So like we're all sitting in rows, and then they're against the wall.
So they were watching over your shoulder as you were playing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's the added pressure of, it's one thing because I know you have experience with streaming on like YouTube, Twitch, and that stuff. And you might see that number of people that are watching you that goes up, and you feel a little bit of tension or nervousness, but you get used to that after a while. And it's not quite as palpable as when you actually have people in the room standing behind you, like looking over your shoulder. That can definitely get into your head a little bit. And so how did you feel going into those games and maybe not performing so well? What kept you motivated to keep playing, or how did you conceptualize that, I guess?
My teammates, they definitely like motivated me, and my coach motivated me too.
Coach Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Johnny seems like a really, really cool guy, and he's really patient with training the squad and what have you. And real quick, I should have asked before, Devin, what role do you typically play on Valorant?
Normally, I play the role of initiator, but recently our controller has been missing some practices, so I have been playing Element as well.
So you have a huge responsibility of putting out smokes and things like that.
Yes.
And what role do you play, Colin?
I play controller.
You play controller as well. So do you guys double up playing controller in the game, or are you normally in the game at the same time, or is one
Not
person?
usually. It's usually one or the other.
It's one or the other. Okay. So when you're in, you're playing smokes. And what agent do you like to play when you do smokes?
I like to play Clove.
Clove. Okay. I don't know that much about Clove because I haven't really played her. But her ultimate is basically you get a second life and you can come back and make a play happen. Matthew, what's it been like for you?
So like at first I was just like a little nervous because I knew that we were going against like colleges, so I felt like a little more like uncomfortable. But like as soon as I sat like down on my chair, I just like took a deep breath, just try to calm myself down, and I just tried to lock in as best I can.
That's all you can do, right?
It's really all
And what role do you typically play on Valorant?
duelist.
You play duelist. Which duelist?
Jet.
You play Jet. Okay.
Yeah.
One I'm always afraid of playing. So do you now? That's I'd love to get your perspective. Even though you guys lost your games, how were you doing individually on the leaderboard? Like, were you struggling to get kills as Jet or to entry frag or anything like that? Or were you able to capitalize on kills and the round just wasn't following through?
So like on my round, I was like on the top of the leaderboard.
Really?
Yeah.
That must have felt pretty good.
It did. It felt really good. I don't even know what happened. Like I just locked in. I just started killing people left and right.
So was it more? I bet it was a little more frustrating when you're like performing well and you're still not getting the round wins at the end of the game, and you're doing this against college teams. So you're like, well, if I can do it here, I can probably perform well anywhere.
Yeah.
Actually, that brings me to a good point. So I want to go back to you real quick, Connor. What was a moment that felt really good for you as a player? Like either a round that happened or just something that took place during the tournament that was like, okay, cool. Like I got this.
Getting kills, like getting like 3 or 4 kills was like
in one round, basically. Yeah, that's cool. And you guys, I know specifically like your best performing game was against, I think it was LBCC Black.
Yeah.
So those guys are no slouches. One of them tried out for my Overwatch squad and was one of the best performing players who tried out. In fact, I think he's the IGL for Valorant Black. And you held your own for a little bit. And I wager that most high school kids that are competing at your level probably haven't gone against teams like that. Granted, a lot of them are new and they're still meshing together, sort of like how you guys are. This is your first semester all actually playing together. So I won't draw this out too long. I just want to go to each and every one of you and ask what the single actually, here's what I want to ask. How would you compare, Davin, the experience with training regularly online versus actually training in person? Like, what is the major value you get from that?
So online, the only thing you see is really the game, the characters, and maybe the avatar icons of your teammates and your coaches. But when you go in person, you get to see their faces, you get to see their expressions, you get to see what they look like, which
It's more humanizing in a way, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Do you think that's less scary or more scary seeing them in person?
Me personally, less scary.
Right, because it's not like there's some crazy hacker on the other end
Yeah.
who's like only existence is playing the game all the time. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's just a normal guy.
It's a normal guy.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually. What about you, Connor?
I would say the same thing, but for me, it's definitely scarier.
It's scarier.
Yeah.
Scarier in a way like the other person is intimidating, or did you ever have any interaction with someone you played against outside of the actual game? Like you guys went and handshaked and stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But besides that, was there any conversations that you had outside of the squad? Yeah. I could see it both ways. I can see from one, and really all this comes down to at the end of the day is how you frame things, whether it be in a tournament or outside of the game. If you see something as negative, then it's going to have that effect. One of my favorite quotes is, "He who says he can and he who says he can't are both right." If I say I can't do it, then I'm not going to, more than likely. So if you feel like it's less scary because it's just another guy, but you feel like it's more scary because you actually get to see the person in front of you, then that makes a lot of sense. And maybe part of the experience is finding those answers and facing those fears, as it were. Same question for you, Assad. What is something, or what's the biggest takeaway or difference between online and in person?
So for me, online it's just like playing, like you don't see what their true reaction is. But in person, like for me, I was kind of happy to see actually like how they looked and everything, and it really got me motivated. I was like, they're all really good, and it shows how much I really need to improve in the game. Like,
it's kind of inspiring in a way,
yeah.
Right? I will say, I want to get to you in a second, Matthew, but before I forget, I did a stream this morning, and I was happy to have Connor in there for a second, and for the last few weeks, I've been like, whatever, I'm just gonna go live, and haven't put that much thought into it. But because I was in charge of running media at LBCC, it was I'm surrounded by other people who actually want to do a good job and actually want to put together the best broadcast possible. And because there's so much involved, we're trying to stream all of your games and there's so many PCs, it's a bigger challenge and it requires more setup. So when I go back to my house and I'm setting up a broadcast, it's like, dude, you can step this up. Like you can actually put a little bit more work and effort into something because the people around you inspire you, whether they're your teammates or your opponents. So same question to you, Matt.
Yeah, so like online, like you can't see like their facial expressions, so like it just kind of calms me down because you can't like see like.
It calms you down more online.
Yeah.
Or,
like,
okay.
Because like you can't see like their like facial expressions, like, but like in person, like I feel like I'm a little more stressed because like you could like see like their reaction, like whatever you do, like like.
Did you did that stress continue throughout the entire tournament, or did you find like after game 1 or 2 that some of those nerves like subsided and you're like, okay, I'm ready to play now?
Yeah, they like went down. Like I got more comfortable as the tournament went on.
That's really great. And you know, it's always going to be like that. No matter how many lands you go to, the first hour or the first game you play, it's going to be like, whew, okay, I got to get ready for this. You know, even if you've gone to 100, it's just we get nervous about stuff. So I just want to say I'm really proud of all of you guys for showing up and getting that experience done, and on to the next one, you know, on to another one. So thank you so much for sitting down and chatting. And yeah, this is your Valorant and Smash guys.